The beeping of the signal detector broke the quiet night at NASA's Deep Space Listening Post. Jake Miller almost spilled his coffee as he jumped to check the readings. The signal was unlike anything he had seen before, clearly artificial and coming from beyond Jupiter. "Someone call Dr. Wells," Jake said, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "And get Commander Richter on the line. This is it. This is really it." Within hours, the news spread through the highest levels of government. Within days, the whole world knew. Aliens had made contact, and they wanted to meet. Dr. Samantha Wells studied the message patterns for the 10th time. Her dark hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, and empty coffee cups littered her desk. "They're coming to the Horizon Station next month," she told Commander Alex Richter as he entered her office. "Their language patterns suggest they're formal, hierarchical. They call themselves the Galactic Council." Alex nodded, his weathered face serious. "The President wants us to lead the welcome team. You for science, me for security. Are you bringing guns to a first contact?" Sam asked with a raised eyebrow. Alex smiled slightly. "Just standard protocol. But honestly, I'm more excited than scared." On the day of arrival, the Horizon Space Station buzzed with activity. Scientists, diplomats, and military personnel moved with purpose. News crews broadcasted to billions watching from Earth. "They're approaching," called out Officer Linda Perez from her monitoring station. One large ship, 4 smaller escorts. The alien ship was beautiful, sleek and silver with blue lights pulsing along its hull. It docked with precision at the airlock. Inside the main chamber, Alex and Sam stood at the front of the human delegation. The room fell silent as the airlock cycled, and the door opened. Ambassador Skithar stepped through first. He stood 7 feet tall with greenish-gray skin and 4 arms. Behind him came 6 guards with what were clearly weapons, and 3 other aliens of different species. Skithar looked around the room, his large eyes blinking slowly. The council delegation had prepared for human panic, for weapons to be raised, for screams or gasps or religious outbursts. They had seen it all before from primitive species making first contact. Instead, Sam stepped forward with a broad smile. "Welcome to Earth's Horizon Station. I'm Dr. Samantha Wells, and this is Commander Alex Richter. We're honored to meet you." The aliens exchanged glances. "I am Ambassador Skithar of the Galactic Council," he said in perfect English, thanks to their translation technology. "We have come to formally recognize humanity's existence and begin the assessment process." Alex nodded respectfully but then grinned. "Great. We got refreshments set up over there, and later we thought we might give you a tour of the station. Unless you're too tired from your journey." Skithar blinked again. "You are not afraid?" Sam laughed. "Oh, we're probably a healthy mix of terrified and thrilled, but mostly curious. We've been waiting for this day for generations." The delegation moved to the refreshment area. Humans and aliens began awkward but eager conversations. Dr. Jeff Brown, a biologist, was asking one of the aliens about their respiratory system while showing pictures of his kids on his phone. "This is unusual," said Trelnazik, one of the alien diplomats, to Skithar. "They should be more intimidated by our technology, our weapons." At that moment, Sam approached with drinks. "I don't know if you can consume our liquids, but we brought some of yours from your ship as well." She smiled. "You know, for decades our movies showed aliens either trying to eat us or blow us up. I'm glad you're more into diplomacy than dinner." She laughed at her own joke. The alien stared at her blankly. "That was humor," she explained. "Sorry, it probably doesn't translate well." "You make jokes about extinction?" Skithar asked, clearly confused. Alex joined them, shrugging casually. "Laughing at scary things is kind of our specialty. Would you like to see the observation deck? The view of Earth from there is amazing." As they walked away, Skithar whispered to his colleague, "The council expected submission, fear, or religious awe. This, laughter, was not in our protocols. Trelnazik nodded slowly. Perhaps humans are more complex than our initial assessment suggested. Outside the viewport, Earth shone blue and green against the blackness of space, while inside, humanity took its first steps into a wider universe with smiles on their faces. 6 months after the first meeting with the aliens, a new message arrived from the Galactic Council. Earth was officially summoned to appear before the full council. "They want us to send a delegation to their central station," said President Garcia during the emergency meeting. "This is a big step forward." After much debate, Captain Diane Martinez was chosen to lead the mission. She had a calm mind, quick thinking, and a good sense of humor, qualities that seemed to confuse the aliens in a way that worked in humanity's favor. The Starship Venture was Earth's newest and best ship. Still, it was like a child's toy compared to the Council ships. Engineer Paul Johnson spent the 3-week journey studying the alien tech specs they had been given. "Their ships are amazing," Paul told Diane as they neared the Council station. "But they're so careful with everything. It's like they're afraid to push boundaries." The Council station came into view through the main window. It was massive, like a small moon with towers and docks sticking out from all sides. Lights of many colors blinked and flowed across its surface. "Wow," whispered Diane. "Now that's a space station." Lieutenant Greg Foster nodded beside her. "It's impressive, but I bet their food court options are terrible." The council greeted them with a formal welcome party. 17 different alien species lined up in order of their standing in the council. Ambassador Skithar stood near the front. "Captain Martinez, welcome to the council center," Skithar said. "We have prepared quarters for your team. Tomorrow you will be formally presented to the full council." The aliens expected the humans to be overwhelmed by the station's size and technology. They watched closely for signs of fear or amazement. Diane smiled and nodded. "Thank you for your hospitality. Your station is beautiful. Do we have time for a tour? My engineer is dying to see your power systems." The council members looked at each other in surprise. Primitive species were supposed to be intimidated, not curious. "A limited tour can be arranged," Skithar said slowly. During the tour, Paul asked many technical questions. When they reached the power control room, he pulled out his tablet and began making connections to the alien systems. "What are you doing?" asked the council technician, alarmed. "Just setting up an interface so we can monitor power usage," Paul said with a shrug. "Don't worry, I'm not changing anything." The alien looked shocked. "But that is sacred technology." Paul laughed. "No technology is sacred. It's just tools we make to solve problems." Later that night, the human team gathered in their quarters to prepare for the next day's meeting. The council had expected them to spend the night in quiet meditation or fear. Instead, they played cards. "Full house," said Dr. Kim Lewis, laying down her cards with a grin. "Pay up, Greg." Greg groaned and passed her his chocolate ration. "I swear you're cheating." 2 council observers watched the humans through hidden cameras. "They are facing the most important moment of their species' history tomorrow," said one observer. "Why are they playing games and laughing?" "Their behavior makes no sense," agreed the other. "The psychological assessment team is confused." The next morning, the humans dressed in their formal uniforms. Diane gathered her team before they left. "Remember, we represent all of Earth today," she said. "Be respectful, but not submissive. We're new to the galaxy, but we're not less than anyone else." They walked to the council chamber doors. The massive hall beyond was designed to make visitors feel small and powerless. Tall pillars reached up hundreds of feet. The 17 council members sat on raised platforms, looking down on the speaking floor. Zelmora, the council leader, waited in the center. His species was tall and thin with skin that shifted colors like oil on water. "Take a deep breath," Diane told her team. "And remember, if you get nervous, just imagine them all in their underwear." Greg snorted with laughter. "Do they even wear underwear?" The guards opened the doors. The humans stepped forward, faces composed, but with small smiles playing on their lips. The council watched them enter, still trying to understand why these humans would not show proper fear. The summons had begun. The council chamber was enormous. The ceiling stretched so high that it disappeared into shadows. 17 massive seats formed a half-circle on a raised platform. Each seat held an alien council member of a different species. Some had many arms, others had wings, and one seemed to be made mostly of light. Captain Diane Martinez led her team to the center of the room. They stood on a round platform that glowed softly. The human delegation looked small in the massive space. "The humans of Earth appear before the Galactic Council," announced a tall alien with blue skin. Council leader Xel Mora rose from the center seat. His skin shifted colors like moving water as he spoke. "For 10,000 years, the Galactic Council has maintained order among the stars." Xel Mora's voice boomed through the chamber. "Today we welcome humanity to stand before us and receive our wisdom." Lieutenant Kevin Wright leaned close to Dr. Kim Lewis and whispered, "Bet he practices that speech in the mirror every morning." Kim covered her mouth to hide her smile. Xel Mora continued for several minutes about the Council's history and power. The speech was clearly designed to make the humans feel small and new compared to the ancient aliens. When he finished, Diane stepped forward. "The people of Earth thank the Council for this opportunity. We are eager to learn from you and share our own culture." Dr. Lisa Cooper raised her hand. "If I may ask, what are the Council's trade policies? We're particularly interested in technology exchange." The Council members looked surprised. New species usually spent their first meeting asking for protection or offering loyalty, not asking practical questions. "We will discuss such matters later," said Xel Mora. "First, we must establish the terms of Earth's probationary status." A screen appeared in the air. It showed a list of rules. "As a new species, humans will have limited travel rights," Xel Mora explained. "Your technology development will be monitored. Resources will be assigned by quota. Military expansion is forbidden. These are standard restrictions for primitive species." The human team listened politely. The council members watched for signs of fear or submission. Instead, Diane smiled. "That's an interesting suggestion. We have some counter-proposals." The chamber went silent. "Counter-proposals," repeated Scathar, clearly confused. "These are not suggestions. These are the Council's requirements." Paul Johnson stepped forward. "With respect, requirements should be based on capability, not age. Our ship's engine design already matches mid-level Council standards, and we developed it independently." Greg Foster nodded. "And we've reviewed your defense protocols. They have gaps that our military strategies could help address." The council members began talking among themselves. This was not how new species were supposed to behave. "You misunderstand your position," said Xel Mora, his skin turning dark red. "The council does not negotiate with probationary species. We offer protection in exchange for obedience." Diane's smile never faltered. "Protection from what exactly?" "From the dangers of the galaxy," said a large insect-like council member. "Space is full of predators that would destroy young species." Lisa Cooper laughed softly. "We come from a planet where everything tried to kill us. Our earliest ancestors survived ice ages, predators, and each other. Danger is not new to us." Kevin grinned. "My grandmother lives in a place called Florida. She chases alligators off her porch with a broom." The council couldn't tell if he was joking. "This attitude is unusual," said Scathar, who had more experience with humans. "Most species understand their vulnerability when they first join galactic society." "Oh, we understand we have a lot to learn," said Diane. "But learning works both ways. We've brought gifts to demonstrate some of Earth's unique contributions." She opened a case and brought out several items. There were seeds from Earth plants, music recordings, art pieces, and a bottle of whiskey. "We suggest a partnership rather than a hierarchy," Diane continued. "Earth has much to offer the galaxy." The council members looked at each other in disbelief. The humans should have been begging for acceptance. Instead, they were suggesting terms. "We will consider your position," said Thelmora finally. "The council will recess to discuss this unusual situation." As the aliens filed out, Greg turned to Diane. "Do you think they'll go for it?" Diane shrugged. "They need to decide if they want allies or subjects. Either way, we won't be intimidated." The human team waited, relaxed and confident, while the council tried to understand why their usual tactics of awe and intimidation had failed. 1 month after the hearing, the council sent observers to Earth. The observers were supposed to study human society and decide if humans were ready for galactic society. The aliens expected to find a primitive military culture, scared of the stars and the powerful aliens they had met. Trell Nazik led the observation team. He was tall with gray skin and 6 fingers on each hand. His species was known for careful analysis and detailed reports. "Remember, we must determine if humans are stable enough for limited galactic rights," Trell Nazik told his team as their ship approached Earth. "Based on other species at this stage, we should expect to see fear-based societies, religious worship of space, or aggressive military buildup." Their ship landed at the new Galactic Embassy in Colorado. A small crowd of humans waited to greet them. Some held signs saying, "Welcome to Earth," and "We come in peace. Do you?" Trell Nazik blinked in confusion at the signs. Were the humans making jokes about their own old movies? Lieutenant Eric Simmons stepped forward. "Welcome to Earth. I'll be your guide while you're here. We've prepared a full schedule to show you human culture." The aliens expected formal meetings with world leaders and tours of military bases. Instead, their first stop was a baseball game. "This is America's favorite pastime," Eric explained as they sat in the stands. "Hot dog." He offered Trell Nazik a strange food item. The alien declined politely. "We are here to assess your species' readiness for galactic society. Why are we watching people hit a ball with a stick?" Eric laughed. "Because it's fun. And you wanted to see human culture, right? This is it. How we play is just as important as how we work." The next day, Eric took them skydiving. "We're going to jump out of a flying vehicle," asked Drinvex, another observer. "For what purpose?" "For the thrill of it," Eric said with a grin. "Don't worry. The parachutes are very safe." The aliens watched in horror as Eric jumped from the plane, shouting with joy as he fell through the sky. None of the observers jumped. Dr. Nancy Peterson hosted a diplomatic dinner that evening. The observers expected serious political discussion. Instead, they got jokes. "So a human, is Cathar, and a Drinvex walk into a bar," began one of the human diplomats. The aliens didn't understand why humans would create fictional scenarios for humor. They didn't understand why humans would deliberately seek out fear-inducing activities for fun. They didn't understand why children approached them in public places, asking to touch their skin or take pictures with them. Human children show no fear of aliens, Trell Nazik noted in his report. Is this bravery or lack of proper caution? On the 5th day, Trell Nazik met with a group of human scientists. He expected to find them in awe of advanced alien technology. Instead, they asked detailed questions and suggested improvements. "Your FTL drive design is impressive," said Dr. Jane Miller, studying the schematics they had shared. "But have you tried reconfiguring the containment field like this? Our simulations suggest it would be 15% more efficient." The aliens were shocked. Humans weren't supposed to understand council technology so quickly, let alone improve it. On the 7th day, the observers visited a small town in Montana. They watched as a farmer fixed his tractor with homemade parts, a teacher led children in learning about space, and a local band played music in the park. They adapt to anything. Drinvex told Trell Nazik. They're constantly solving problems and finding humor in difficulties. That night, a storm knocked out power to the town. The aliens expected panic. Instead, the humans gathered in the town hall, lit candles, and told stories until the power returned. They find comfort in community, noted Trelnazik, and they use humor to manage fear. On their final day, a child approached Trelnazik and handed him a drawing. It showed the alien and the child holding hands. "This is you and me being friends," the child explained. "Do aliens have friends?" Trelnazik didn't know how to respond. In that moment, he realized something important about humans. They find power in their apparent weakness, he wrote in his final report to the council. They laugh at the void. They turn fear into connection. They face the unknown, not with trembling, but with curiosity. He added one final line before sending the report. They may be the strangest species we have ever encountered, but they may also have much to teach us. The alarm sirens wailed across the Mars colony. Red lights flashed in every tunnel and dome. Colonel Frank Rivera ran to the command center, his face grim but calm. "Report," he ordered as he entered the room. 6 alien ships appeared without warning, said Lieutenant Maria Chen, pointing to the screen. "They're not council ships. They're demanding immediate surrender of the colony." The screen showed dark, spiky ships hovering over the main dome. A message scrolled across the bottom: "Surrender or be destroyed." "They call themselves the Verkath," Maria continued. "The council database says they're raiders who prey on developing worlds." Frank nodded. "Send a message to Earth and the council. Then open a channel to the Verkath." A harsh face appeared on the screen. The alien had red skin, sharp teeth, and black eyes. "Human colony," the alien growled. "I am Commander Grazist of the Verkath Empire. Your primitive outpost is now our property. Surrender, or we will crack your domes and let the vacuum claim you." The council observers who were still visiting Earth watched this transmission with horror. They expected humans to panic, to beg the council for protection. Frank leaned forward. "This is Colonel Frank Rivera of Earth's Mars colony. We appreciate your interest in our home, but we must decline your offer." The alien blinked in surprise. "You misunderstand. This is not an offer. You have no defenses that can harm our ships. You have 1 hour to surrender or die." Frank smiled slightly. "You know what humans did before we had space travel. We told scary stories around campfires for fun. Your threats need work." The screen went dark. The Verkath were confused by this response. "Colonel, our weapons can't penetrate their shields," said Maria. "Help from Earth won't arrive for days." Frank turned to his team. "Then we improvise. Get me the mining crew and the engineering team." Within an hour, mining lasers were mounted on maintenance robots. Dome repair tools became makeshift weapons. The colony's 3D printers worked at full speed, creating parts for devices the Verkath had never seen before. When the aliens sent down troops to take the colony by force, they found every tunnel and room booby-trapped. Not with explosives, but with foam sealant that gummed up their weapons, paint that blinded their visors, and speakers that blasted human music at painful volumes. "What is this madness?" screamed a Verkath soldier as pink foam covered his armor. In the command center, Frank directed the defense. "Start broadcasting on their communication frequencies." "What should we send?" asked the communications officer. "Comedy shows," Frank replied with a grin. "Old stand-up routines, funny movies, everything we've got." The confused Verkath found their comm systems filled with human laughter and jokes they couldn't understand. It disrupted their coordination and confused their commanders. From orbit, Grazist watched in growing anger as his ground forces fell into chaos. "Impossible. They are defenseless." One of his officers looked up from a console. "Sir, they've reprogrammed their mining satellites. They're now targeting our engines with laser drills." Before Grazd could respond, the colony's main communication dish fired a concentrated burst of energy. Not a weapon, but a focused data packet that hacked into the Verkath ship's systems. Suddenly, all their screens showed funny cat videos from Earth's internet. "What is happening?" Grazist roared. 3 days later, when Earth's defense fleet arrived ready for a desperate rescue mission, They found the Verkath ships gone and the Mars colony intact. Frank and his people were celebrating in the main dome. The council representatives who came with the Earth fleet were stunned. "You defeated a Verkath raiding party with mining equipment and jokes?" asked Ambassador Scathar. Frank shrugged. "We worked with what we had. Want a beer? We're having a party." The aliens watched in confusion as humans danced and laughed, telling stories about their creative defense tactics. "You celebrate after such danger?" asked Trelnazik. "Your colony was nearly destroyed." Maria handed him a drink. "But it wasn't destroyed. We're alive, so we party. That's how humans work." That night, the humans invited the council representatives to join their victory celebration. Most aliens stood awkwardly at the edges, unable to understand how humans could laugh so soon after facing death. They use humor as a weapon and as medicine. Trelnazik noted in his report, "When threatened, they do not cower. They improvise, adapt, and then they laugh." The council had never encountered a species like humanity before, and they were beginning to think that might be exactly what the galaxy needed. After the Mars colony incident, the Galactic Council became very interested in understanding humans better. They sent their top scientists to study human biology and psychology. The council wanted to know why humans reacted so differently from other species they had encountered. Dr. Julia Winters led the human science team working with the alien researchers. The council had set up a joint research facility in Switzerland, where scientists from both sides could study each other. "Today we'll be discussing human response to fear," Julia told the gathered aliens. She was a tall woman with short red hair and a ready smile. "We have a saying on Earth, laugh in the face of danger. It's not just a saying, it's how we cope." The lead alien scientist, Dr. Vexlor, tilted his large head. "But fear is a survival mechanism. It should cause retreat or submission, not laughter." Julia nodded. "For many species, yes, but humans evolved differently." She pulled up images on the screen showing Earth's many dangerous environments. "Our planet tried to kill us in countless ways. Predators, storms, volcanoes, disease, you name it." The aliens studied the images with interest. "Most sentient species evolved on safer worlds," Dr. Vexlor noted. "Our studies show that 82% of council species came from environments with stable climates and few apex predators." "Exactly," Julia said. "Humans didn't have that luxury. We had to adapt or die. And one of our adaptations was psychological. We developed gallows humor." "Gallows humor?" asked a small blue alien. "Finding something funny in terrifying situations," Julia explained. "It reduces stress hormones and helps us think clearly in danger." In another part of the facility, Administrator Ben Harris was explaining human history to council officials. "You fought 2 global wars in the same century?" asked Ambassador Scathar, horrified. "How did your species survive such self-destruction?" Ben shrugged. "We're stubborn. And after each disaster, we picked ourselves up, made some jokes about it, and tried to do better." He showed them pictures of wartime cartoons, post-disaster recovery efforts, and comedy shows that poked fun at humanity's darkest moments. "You mock your own suffering," noted Trelnazik. "Why?" "Because the alternative is to be crushed by it," Ben said simply. "Laughing at something makes it less frightening." Meanwhile, in the medical lab, Dr. Alan Cooper was explaining human biology to alien doctors. "Your pain tolerance is remarkable," said the alien physician, reviewing test results. "And your psychological resilience is unlike anything in our records." Alan nodded. "We break easily, but we heal quickly, both physically and mentally. We adapted to a high-injury environment." The council scientists compiled their findings into a comprehensive report. That evening, they presented their conclusions to a joint meeting of human and alien representatives. "Humans evolved on what we classify as a death world," Dr. Vexlor explained to the gathered audience. "Earth's combination of environmental dangers, predators, and climate variations would have killed most other sentient species before they developed technology. The aliens in the audience looked at the humans with new understanding. Dr. Vex's lore continued. Furthermore, humans faced these dangers with limited physical advantages. No claws, weak teeth, thin skin, and relatively poor senses. They survived through intelligence, social cooperation, and psychological adaptations. Julia stepped forward to address the assembly. We're not fearless. That's a misconception. We're actually terrified most of the time. This statement confused the aliens. Ben Harris joined her at the podium. It's true. Humans are constantly afraid of death, failure, loss, embarrassment. The difference is that we've learned to live with fear, to joke about it, and to keep going anyway. He showed brain scans on the main screen. When humans laugh at something scary, these areas of the brain activate, reducing activity in the fear center. We literally short-circuit our fear response with humor. The council representatives were fascinated. One of them stood up. Is this why humans explore dangerous places? Why you take risks that other species avoid? Julia nodded. Partly. We know we're going to be afraid, but we've learned that fear doesn't have to stop us. Ellen added, there's an old human saying, courage isn't the absence of fear, but acting despite being afraid. That's humanity in a nutshell. As the presentation ended, the council members spoke among themselves with new excitement. They had expected to find humans primitive, perhaps even dangerously unstable. Instead, they had discovered a species with unique psychological tools for facing the unknown. They aren't less evolved for their emotional responses. Trelnazik told Ambassador Scathar. They may be more evolved for their ability to process fear productively. Scathar nodded slowly. The galaxy is full of dangers we haven't faced yet. Perhaps we need people who laugh at the dark. 1 year after first contact, Captain Diane Martinez stood once again in the Great Council chamber. This time, she wasn't alone. Behind her stood representatives from 20 human nations. The chamber looked different too. The lighting was brighter, and the seats had been rearranged to form a complete circle rather than the intimidating raised platform. Zel Mora, the council leader, rose to speak. His skin rippled with blue and green colors as he addressed the assembly. 1 year ago, humanity stood before us as newcomers to the galactic stage, he began. Today, you stand before us as equals. A murmur went through the chamber. This was not how the council typically treated new species. The Galactic Council has existed for 10,000 years, Selmora continued. In that time, we have developed many protocols for integrating new species. We expected your fear would keep you in line. We did not understand that your laughter makes you unstoppable. Diane smiled. The aliens had finally begun to understand humanity. Therefore, today we officially recognize Earth as a full member of the Galactic Council, with all rights and responsibilities. The human delegation broke into applause. Some of the aliens looked startled by the sudden noise, but others joined in, awkwardly clapping their various appendages together. Furthermore, said Selmora, we wish to establish an interspecies cultural exchange center on Earth. We have much to learn from each other. After the ceremony, a celebration was held in the Great Hall. Humans mingled with aliens, sharing food, drinks, and stories. Dr. Ryan Clark, a psychologist who had worked with the council research team, found himself talking with a group of young alien diplomats. So you're saying humans deliberately seek out fear for entertainment? Asked one alien with blue fur. Ryan nodded. Horror movies, roller coasters, haunted houses. We pay good money to be scared in safe environments. It helps us practice our fear responses. Fascinating, said another alien. On my world, we avoid fear whenever possible. Different evolutionary paths, Ryan explained. Say, I've been thinking of starting an interspecies comedy club. Would any of you be interested? The aliens looked at each other nervously, but a few nodded. Across the room, Ambassador Scathar approached Diane. Their relationship had come a long way since their first awkward meeting on the Horizon Station. Captain Martins, or should I say Ambassador Martins now. Diane grinned. Just Diane is fine, Scathar. We've been through too much together for formalities. The tall alien nodded. Indeed. I wanted to tell you that your handling of the Vorkath incident has changed Council's security protocols. We are now implementing what we call human-style adaptive thinking in our defense training. You mean teaching people to make jokes while fighting? Not exactly, Scathar said, but teaching them to look beyond standard responses, to improvise with available resources, and to maintain psychological resilience under pressure. Diane nodded. Those are good human traits, I suppose. The best, Scathar agreed. I have been studying your Earth humor. Would you like to hear a joke? Diane raised her eyebrows in surprise. Absolutely. Scathar cleared his throat. Why did the human throw the clock out the window? He paused. He wanted to see time fly. There was a moment of silence before Diane burst out laughing. Not because the joke was particularly funny, but because of how proudly Scathar had delivered it. And then, to her amazement, Scathar began laughing too. It was a strange, wheezing sound, but unmistakably laughter. 2 months later, a new educational center opened in Geneva. Alien children and human children learned side by side about each other's cultures and histories. In the playground, a small alien child fell and scraped its knee. It began to make distressed noises. A human girl about 8 years old hurried over and helped the alien up. It's okay, she said. Want to hear something funny to make it feel better? The alien child blinked at her through teary eyes, then nodded. After the human told her joke, both children were laughing. The alien child had forgotten about its injury. From the window of his office, Ryan Clark watched this interaction with satisfaction. This was humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy, teaching others how to laugh in the face of an uncaring universe. Elsewhere in the building, a group of alien diplomats were attending a class called Humor as a Coping Mechanism. Their teacher, Ben Harris, wrote a quote on the board. We can either laugh at the absurdity of existence or cry about it. Laughing is more fun. The aliens carefully copied this down. They didn't fully understand it yet, but they were learning. The universe was vast and often dangerous, but with humanity now part of the galactic community, it would also be filled with more laughter. And that made all the difference.